Hello, heroes and villains. This is a new type of series I'm starting, which will feature on maps instead of actual characters. So I'm just going to walk around and see what kind of, Easter eggs or lore we can find about this starting map, which will be the Sanctum Sanctorum. If you don't know what the Sanctum Sanctorum is, it's the headquarters and home of Doctor Stephen Strange, the character I am right now. So let's take a look and see what we can find. I'm going to walk around in the streets first, and then I'm going to enter the actual sanctum, because there are a few Easter eggs out here as well. I have seen a few when I've been playing, but I haven't actually stopped and really taken a closer look. Here's a good one. Frost International, the building here, is actually the headquarters of, well, I assume it's the headquarters anyway, of a company that was owned and operated by Emma Frost's father until she inherited it. She actually used the proceeds from the company to fund Utopia. Those of you who read X-Men know that Utopia is the, was the headquarters of the X-Men and a sanctuary for all mutants. So this is a big shout out to her, considering that, at least if the leaks are true, she's actually going to be released into the game quite soon. This is pretty interesting. Never Surrender Silver Shop. This is probably just because, well, to show that the whole vampire invasion thing that's happening right now in New York, it isn't really a new thing. It's probably been going on for quite a while. Although I don't think there's anything in here that, shows. I don't think there's any silver in the silver shop, though. Anyway. And this is Mr. Knight's Agency, which is actually a callback to, I think it was called Spectre Corp, which was Mark Spector's corporation to fund Moon Knight's activities. As you might know, he was a mercenary back in the day. You can see here there are 3 separate statues of Khonshu, God of Vengeance. And here there's a sign for the Baxter Building, a foundation for the future. Those who read any Fantastic Four would probably know that for a while they called themselves the Future Foundation. And they had more members than just the Fantastic Four. Among them were, for instance, Spider-Man. So it's pretty cool. Remembering the Captain. Let's see. Remembering the Captain, a hero ends the world war. Yes, this is probably the museum that's actually featured in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Or at least a callback to that museum. As you know, Bucky learns about himself by going there in the end of the second Captain America movie. So let's make our way to the Sanctum Sanctorum. This window, more than just being decorative, actually has a function. As you can see, the frames on the window look a bit strange. And that's because it's actually from the Book of Vishanti. And it's probably, they don't actually say it out loud that I know of, the Book of, this symbol is probably a defensive spell to keep the Sanctum Sanctorum safe from outside influence and magic. In the comics, he can also use this window to peer out into other worlds. Ooh. Immediately I see something pretty interesting. I believe this is Wong. Wong is Doctor Strange's oldest friend, one of them anyway, and his apprentice. He also serves as Doctor Strange's servant in many cases, cooking and doing all the things that the Sorcerer Supreme doesn't have time to do. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Wong is actually the Sorcerer Supreme right now, since Doctor Strange disappeared when Thanos took out half the universe. Oh. And as you know, the Sanctum Sanctorum, well, as you might know, and why there are so many gateways, Sanctum Sanctorum is actually located on special ley lines that run throughout the universe. So it's like a focal point and doorways into other dimensions, which is probably why it looks like this. I would guess that I haven't actually read the story in the game about this map, but I think it was probably attacked and partially destroyed. And as you can see, the borders, they're sort of flickering, looking like stained glass. I think that's a callback to the Doctor Strange movie, where this signifies that it's actually a part of the mirror dimension, where, you know, people can't really get hurt. Either that, or this is just a barrier of some kind, but it looks like the mirror dimension. Ah yes, this is a kitchen. If you go into the kitchen or look at the dinner table, you'll see that a lot of the food looks really, really strange. Like squid-like things with a bunch of eyes and, you know, stuff that normal people wouldn't eat if their life depended on it, basically. I mean, look at that. That's clearly a demon. And that's because when Doctor Strange has used so much magic and has infused himself with spells and wears a lot of artifacts and stuff, that his physiology has actually changed. So he has to eat this strange food from other dimensions to sustain himself. I mean, it's not that he can't eat like a cheeseburger now and again. It's just this has more effects than just satiating his hunger. And I noticed this last time I was here. If you look at the plates, you see that symbol? That's a part of, this is an Asgardian plate. Probably the same with the barrels, honestly. Oh, and here's Bats. Bats the ghost dog seems to have walked through the wall. Yeah, Bats the ghost dog is actually a really sad character. Once, or it happens quite a few times, when Doctor Strange stops being the Sorcerer Supreme for some reason. He tries to occupy his time doing other things. Once he joined the Avengers, and once he actually became a veterinarian. And while he was a veterinarian, he met this dog who had he had a heart defect. So he was weak, and, you know, he had to have a lot of treatment and care. Doctor Strange adopted the dog and placed some enchantments on it so he could, you know, talk to him. But then the Sorcerer Supreme, well, the current Sorcerer Supreme in that story at least, Loki showed up and fought Doctor Strange. But Loki had no intention of actually hurting Bats, so he was placed behind a barrier so he couldn't interfere in the fight between Loki and Doctor Strange. But Bats was so upset, and it stressed him out so much that he actually died of a heart attack. Luckily, Bats came back and is now a permanent fixture in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And here's a nice portrait of them too, those two. Oh. Let's see what else we can find. I know there's another portrait on this level somewhere. I saw it when I played this map for the achievement. Oh, another thing about Bats. If you play Jeff the Landshark, he has a very entertaining conversation. Oh, here, yeah. This is Doctor Strange's other apprentice. Her name is Selma Stanton. And she first showed up to Doctor Strange's mansion because she had a growth on her neck that was started to... she started to grow teeth out of it. So she realized it's probably not a normal medical problem. Turns out she was possessed by a bunch of demons that showed up when Doctor Strange tried to help her. And after they fought off the demons, she then became Doctor Strange. Well, one of Doctor Strange's apprentices. Now they seem the time's up for this time, but I'll jump back in and we'll look at the other levels.
The final 10 seconds. You're on your own this time. So
Now we're jumping back in, and there's bats again. The Sanctum Sanctorum is actually on a real street in real life. Well, it doesn't exist, but Bleecker Street in Greenwich Village in New York is a real place.
There is only one Sorcerer Supreme.
You've got
Now
one
let's
job.
see.
Take down as many enemies as you can.
I'm going to try to find the Shadow Gallery, which is where all of his artifacts are. Well, most of them. This seems to be like his gym or something. Those are empty, right? Yep. I'm surprised he doesn't have a portrait of Clea, which is a woman he had a bit of an on and off relationship with. Well, this is pretty fun. This is an infinite staircase. You can run on it all you want. You just come back to the same place. Ah, here we go. The Shadow Gallery. Start over here. As you can see, this is the window I was talking about. That's that has a magical pattern that comes from the Book of Vishanti, which I know is over here. This is the Book of Vishanti. It is the most essential book for Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme, because not all of them, but most spells in the Book of Vishanti are counter spells and defensive magics to protect against demons and other foul things in the world, and other worlds for that matter. So it's probably the first book the Sorcerer Supreme has to study, and the most important one. This is actually a kind of interesting artifact. This is the Wand of Watumb. It's a magical artifact. It was created by a guy named Watumb, and it's said to be forever cursed. But the thing that makes this interesting, because otherwise it's just, sort of like a generic fantasy wand that can do whatever the writer wants it to do. Like, oh, it shoots stuff, you can teleport you, and, makes you a potent magical force. But there are 6 of them, and they're spread out throughout the universe. And what makes this particularly interesting is this one actually shows up in the Age of Hyboria, which those who read Conan the Barbarian knows that's where he's from. So this is actually sort of like a bridge between the Marvel superhero universe and Conan the Barbarian. And this axe is the axe of Axe of... what was it? Something with A. Angarumus or something like that. He actually found this while on the moon. Well, in the center of the moon, he found this axe. It had no obvious enchantments, but when he got close to it and touched it, it sort of hummed to him. So he knew it was magical when he took it. And at one time, there was this demon who tried to eat it. So Doctor Strange took it back and slew the demon with this axe. I don't know what scroll this is. It has the Watumb edges, so I'm assuming it's something to do with him. But there are no other obvious markings that, says what kind of scroll it is. There's like 10 or 12 of them mentioned in the comic books. I don't really remember. This item has a very interesting name. It's not at all obvious. It's the Purple Gem. The Purple Gem has one purpose, really. It transports you to the Purple Dimension. And the Purple Dimension is ruled by a demonic figure who is called Agamon, the Slaver. And at least I've read at least one storyline when they go into it, and everything is like purple there. You can sort of, there's almost like a filter on the entire world. It sort of reminds me of how the soul gem works, that you sort of feels like you go into the gem, but probably not how it works. This item, I caught sight of it, and I'm not sure what it is, but I'm pretty sure, or whatever, I guess that it's the Eye of Horus, or the third Eye of Horus, to be specific. And it's a magical sort of eye that Doctor Strange gave to Beast, the X-Men Beast, when he was going to fight something called like shadow goblins or something like that, creatures from the 12th dimension, and you couldn't see them unless you had this. More than that, I don't think it really does much. I don't remember much about it, but I think it was in the all-new X-Men series, which, I liked. I don't know what cloak this is. It's not the Cloak of Levitation, because as you can see, Doctor Strange is wearing the Cloak of Levitation right now, and the Eye of Agamotto. The Eye of Agamotto is a part of, I think there are 3 artifacts: the Eye of Agamotto, the Orb of Agamotto, and one that I can't really remember right now. The Eye of Agamotto pretty much does whatever the writer wants it to. It's pretty, it's not very, its limitations aren't really stated in the comics. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it mostly houses the Time Stone or the Time Gem, and in the comics, it really doesn't. The Orb of Agamotto is actually this, in front of you. How I know that, because you can see that it's, it's the world, is actually what it sits on. A 3-legged, I don't know if I can call this table, but anyway, a container that can be closed like this, almost like a globe. I think that the Earth is there because he's trying to observe, magical effects happening right now on Earth. And there's very important magical artifact. This is kind of interesting. This is the Brazier of Bong Goliath. And once it was used by Eric Masterson to enter Mephisto's realm. And as long as it's still burning, that means that the spell is working. If it goes out, well, I'm not exactly sure what happens. I can't really remember. I don't remember if the person dies who is in Mephisto's realm, or if it's just detected. But, maybe it's a callback to that. I at least think it's the brazier. I mean, it's exactly where it was in the comic books, right underneath the window. And this is a pretty cool object. This is actually the Dragon Fang. There was this wizard who fought like a giant extra-dimensional dragon, and he forged this sword from its tusk. And it can almost not be destroyed by anything, almost indestructible. And then, the Ancient One had the sword and then passed it to Doctor Strange. And Strange eventually gives it to Valkyrie. Because Valkyrie, from I don't think it's the one from the movies. I think it's actually Brunhilde, the blonde one. She had a blade called the Ebony Blade, which was super powerful, but it's also kind of dark. Eventually, she gave that back to Dane Whitman. I think he's called like the Black Knight or something. So Strange gave her instead, this sword. It's pretty cool. I'm not sure which sword this is, because it's actually like 3 or 4 others in the Sanctum Sanctorum that's mentioned. But because of its shape, I think it's a falchion. So I think it's one of the Wakefield falchions. The Wakefield falchions, they're kind of generic, but they're enchanted, and they were used once to, slay demons. But still pretty cool that it's here. I wonder if that's everything. I have no idea what this staff is. If someone knows, you feel free to actually write it down in the comments. Because it might be something from Clea, because, she usually has like purple stuff. But I'm not sure. It kind of looks like the staff Loki has, the skin from the season 2, but you know, that's green. So I'm not entirely sure. I think that's actually everything.
Down to 30 seconds.
Well, I hope you liked, you know, a bit of a guided tour, because I don't think this is anything. No, it's just generic stuff. And if I missed something, and if you know something else, please just add it, you know, in the comments, so we can check it out. I really like that they actually added all these details,
The final 10 seconds.
because it brings a lot of depth into the game, which I really enjoy. It's not just generic map number 1 and generic map number 2. Oh, these papers are probably from the Darkhold, and the Darkhold is the center of the story in the Baxter Building versus Avengers Tower map, which I will go through at some other time. I hope you enjoy this, and if you learned something, or if you want me to do more of these videos, please like, share, and subscribe. I guess I'll see you next time.